Common table expressions, or CTEs in SQL, are temporary named results that can be referenced in a larger query. And they're typically used with a select statement. Now let me explain what I mean, though, by temporary named result. So CTEs are temporary because they only exist within the duration of a larger query. They're named so we can reference them later. And what's going to happen is these CTEs generate a result that's then passed along. So the reason why we might use these is it helps with simplification. It can take a complex SQL statement and simplify it. It also helps with readability, reusability, and troubleshooting. Again, we're breaking down complex SQL statements or queries into simple blocks. And so, for example, let's say each of these represents a CTE in a statement. We probably wouldn't have that many. But by breaking it down, we can see what something does. We can reuse portions of the statement. And we can easily troubleshoot issues and kind of narrow it down to a particular block. Now, let me share an example of how I might use CTEs. So say I have a customers table, and what I want to do is query customers that had an order before 2022. Now, the challenge I'm going to face, though, is the customers table doesn't have order information. I've got to go get that from somewhere else, like the orders table. And so the way that I'm going to complete this is probably in 2 steps. The first step is to go to the orders table and find customers that match that criteria, that have orders before 2022. And then use those results for the second step. Go to the customers table and identify customers that match those results, match the list. And so to explain this in more detail, here's my orders table. I'm pulling out or identifying customers with orders before 2022. I get these results. And then I use the results to help me with step number 2, identifying customers that match the results. Now, as I have multi-step statements like this, CTEs can be really helpful to break down the complexity. And so here's what this could look like. I have step number 1, which is a CTE that I'm defining. I'm using with to get that started. So I'm saying with pre-2022 customers. That's my name I'm going to use. I could call it something else, but I want it to be descriptive. And then after the name, I'm saying as, and then in parentheses, the SQL statement. So in this case, again, I'm identifying the customer IDs for the customers that had orders before 2022. And then what I'm going to do is use that result in my second step. So I go to the customers table now, select their name, their city, and their state, where the customer ID is in the result that I previously defined. So it can break down that complexity. In terms of terminology here, the CTE name I'm going to use is pre-2022 customers. That could be something else, though it just should be descriptive. And then I have the body of my CTE, which is the query that I'm encapsulating. And then CTE usage is actually where I'm using that temporary named result. So CTEs can be really helpful to break down these complex queries. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, click the subscribe button. And if you're interested in a SQL cheat sheet, you can find one over at codybaldwin.com.